Okay, it's Dan, the recently crowned Novillo King, back after a bit more time than expected. We had a bit of a crisis avoided with a very full hard drive that meant some days spent just trying to get things to work, and that's all done, and things are better actually because I had to make some changes in my production environment, so all that is good. So what we have to look at today is going to start with a bit of the swiping, what happens when you swipe thing I usually do, because there's been some progress made even though it's been it's been a bit distracted a period of time. So basically, we'll start as I usually do with just starting the app up, and what we have now is a single new project that I created for the new testing I'm doing. And basically, the big change here, I guess, is that we're looking at this, as you can see, in horizontal mode, which is actually part of what Novillo is meant to do. It's meant to be both edited and viewed in the horizontal or the vertical mode. And I kind of anticipate that the artist will be able to choose which mode, which compositions will be normally seen in, or lock some out or whatever. But while that's a feature that will come, it's not what we're actually focusing on. But this project that I'm going to show you today, I hope to do several stages of improvement in it and make it the kind of base, getting away from that guy standing there and the man with the house and all the stuff that we looked at for, oh, why did you make me use those? Anyway, so fine. So here we are. This project has 2 SVG files in it. They're both imported through a new GitHub repository, and we can just take a look at those here. There's the first, and there's the second. So if that makes sense to you, you can maybe see that they fit together in some way, but we can also look at them in the block that they belong together in. They've both been put in a single block. So let's take a look at that, and we'll select it, and there we go. So if I move this out of the way, you can see that there's panels on one side and artwork that belongs in the panels on the other side, and these two will be smooshed together. And that's a basic idea of how you will be working with Novillo if you create projects in it, is you'll have multiple individual files that have a relationship to each other, and the relationship comes together in the composition. So I think that'll become even clearer if we actually now take a look at the composition, which I've already built. And there you go. So you can see the panels are in the expected places for a standard 6-panel comic page. This one composition amounts to that. And we can see that the lines fit into those in a fairly neat way. This is very rough drawing. This is to imitate, or not imitate, it's just the very first stuff you might draw very quickly to get into the starting place that you need to begin thinking about your graphic novel. Getting something on the page, right? So that's really all this is. So let's now see what the small edits I've made do to this. I'll start swiping here. Now let's see if this begins. There we go. So you can see that the first thing that happens is that the panels come off, disappear, and change line weight and take on this heavy purple color. And that's the editing that was done. There's an initial point in the timeline where those values are set, and that happens before anything happens to the other drawings. Then, if we continue swiping, and those lines have disappeared, but then if you continue swiping, you'll see that now they're going to come on as I swipe a little further. And so you can get an idea of how you might introduce a page in Novillo. Start off with a blank of the panels, and then introduce some kind of hint of what each one is going to be to the reader. Now, that's not very meaningful stuff, and one of the things I plan to do is show you how then you can slowly disclose what each of the panels is really all about. Okay, so line weight changed for the 2 different SVGs that are composited here together. They're composited very precisely together, which is one of the things I had to work on. And we're doing pretty well in terms of these are the basic things that need to happen in development. Okay. Now, I want to shift gears here and talk a little bit about what the kind of roadmap is that I've got in my head for Novillo. And so basically, let's go over the main things I want to do. So where you see me getting to right now with this new project I'm showing you is the first thing, which is get a basic demo together. I want to give something you can at least see in video and see how it composes the parts that I bring into it in a way that's related to how a Novillo will be built and distributed. And then demonstrate the key features that are currently usable, which we're kind of already doing. And then as I progress, I'm expecting to run into a whole lot of problems or just bad UI or whatever. And so the job in this first phase is to fix the problems that I've built into this already at this stage. And that's begun for sure. And once I've built those problems, fixed them, and I can iterate them, try them again. And so this will be where I'm building stuff. It won't be in public distribution, but it'll be all about getting a better and better product as we close in on a point when other people might use it. So that's our immediate set of goals, my immediate set of goals. And okay, so what happens after that? Well, there's a very basic set of features in here, and I don't imagine a huge feature set for Novillo, but there are definitely a lot of things that are not in there now. So part of it is to add those features and then build demo projects like the one you just saw a glimpse of, new ones that are maybe better at showcasing these new features. And to drive that so people can see what we're doing, just continue to build videos like the one you're looking at right now, like the ones you may have seen before. I invite you to look at the older ones. That will illustrate the progress and let you see kind of where we're going with it. And out of that, I'm hoping that it'll give me something to show to graphic novel publishers, individual graphic artists on Instagram, for example, and see if we can start to elicit some interest in the Novillo approach to building graphic stories. And from there, the goal will be to maybe build a beta tester group. So if you come across this video and you'd like to be part of that beta tester group, you can let me know anytime. We won't be ready to do this for a little while, but we're moving towards it. And then I'll get the fun of seeing how badly I built everything when you guys start trying to use it for the things you want to use. There's a second thread of the roadmap that also is about building distribution. So one of the things I have not started working on yet, but I'm thinking a lot about, is building an export format, a way for you to say, okay, yeah, I've been building my Novillo, and this is a version I want people to see, and be able to control what they see and when they see it. And so that'll take the form of what I'm calling a manifest file, which exists inside the current Novillo, but I have to find a way to build it and send it to a server and make it possible for people with a reader app, which is another thing we have to build, to receive Novillos written by other people, created by other people, read them, and then from there we'll learn what the problems or the advantages of different approaches in this manifest approach are. Once we are in a good place with that, me, the beta testers, any people who come along to work on the project with me, we'll be getting a showcase site together. And the idea behind that will be, if you're a beta tester and you're building something interesting, we'll get it onto the showcase site so people can see the different ways that people are using Novillo to tell stories in new ways. And that will be the backbone, the kind of foundation, if you like, of a system for distribution. So we'll build that and we'll get it out to the people who've been beta testing, let them start to distribute their stories, and then start pulling in feedback from the readers on the one hand and the creators on the other hand. And then from there, we want to get to a beta showcase, which is to say a preliminary launch of a real service based on Novillo, where the access, which will be the access point for all of the different graphic stories that are told in it, can be found in one place with searches and recommendations and so forth possible, which eventually will be the place where people can buy your Novillos and you can start to make some money out of it, and not just make money out of the selling of the final product, but selling or making available the access in the way that Patreon does to your projects on an ongoing basis. So that's sort of the goal of that beta showcase. Now that's just the roadmap. Whether you get there in that order or even if you change direction is, in my experience, a big question. But that's what I can see right now, and that's what I'm trying to build towards. So these are the steps we're taking, and I feel like now that I'm starting to focus more on actual things that are a bit like actual projects, actual stories instead of just code, we're moving towards that now in a way that I'm really excited about. Okay, that's enough for now. My name's Dan. I am Monsieur Novillo Man, l'homme Novillo, el hombre Novillo. We'll get more languages out there. Der Mano Novillo. Anyway, I bet that wasn't German, so I wasn't speaking German. Goodbye.